Hey everyone, this is Think Twice MTG. I'm Alan. We're playing MTGO. We are playing Yawgmoth today. Hoping to turn around a stretch I've been on lately, mostly off camera, partially because some of it I didn't want to post when I was being a whiny little brat, because losing is never fun for anybody. And but we're going back to the Thran Physician to turn our losing ways around. Um, Not much of a difference from what you've seen me play in the past in this deck. I'm just now on 2 Formidable Speaker. I dropped 1 Grist, went up to a 2nd Formidable Speaker, which is essentially like still having the 2nd Grist in the deck. Um, even though there's only 1 actual Grist card, you've got 3 Green Suns, 2 Speakers that can go find it. So, not to mention your Insights and your Rumble's able to go find it that way as well. Couple of changes in the sideboard, not a whole lot. Biggest difference is I'm running 3 Thoughtseize. I found that this deck is weak to other combo decks, interestingly enough. Mostly it's because things like Neoform and Storm are faster. When they assemble the right pieces, they just are able to win the game that turn. And Yawgmoth is much more of kind of like an interactive combo deck and kind of like building value. So very good against the fair decks and the decks that are trying to, also assemble their value pieces. Your value just turns into better value, and then you have just stumble into wins of just like, oh, I do this and then the game's over sort of thing. So Thought Seizes to help against that. And Damping Spheres along the same line. There's a whole ton of Tron variants out there, whether actual Tron lands or just what I'll call Tron, just any of the big mana by using lands that produce more mana decks. So, Eldrazi, Ugin's Labyrinth, Eldrazi Temple, or Tronland sort of decks. Plus, Damping Sphere can help against Titan, and it helps against Storm. So Damping Sphere is kind of a really interesting, uh, thing piece to help against a lot of those. Very useful. Words are hard. Interestingly, I believe, if I understand the way this works correctly, Damping Sphere does not stop the extra mana from Badgermole Cub, because even if you're tapping your Earthbent land for mana, the land is not tapping for an additional mana. You simply add an extra one as a replacement effect with Badgermole Cub. It is not, the land is not, it does not say tap, add 2 mana. So I believe even if you have Damping Sphere out, your mana production is not hindered at all, but something like an Ugin's Labyrinth or an Urza's Tower is with Damping Sphere. So I might be wrong, but I believe that's the way it works. So we're going to see if Yawgmoth has some winning ways in him today. We are on the play. We will be on the play. Thank you. Whoop. Hold on, I'm just going to readjust things here a little bit to fit. There we go. Let's see. We've got Acceleration into Badgermole, Soul Cauldron. This looks like a keep to me. Opponent on a mulligan to 6 so far. All right. All right, is our halfling dying? Probably. Goodbye, halfling. We loved you so. We'll snag a forest. We're just going to run out our Badgermole Cub. Never know in these cases if there's any reason to earthbend onto one land or another. I am noticeably one card away from winning the game, which is nice. A Spymaster's Vault or a Dredger's Insight or Prosperous Innkeeper are all ways that I could win the game with one more card with what I have in hand. Riggedy Raggedy. Do we let the Ragavan get in for a hit? I think we do. Let's see. If they hit, they get an extra mana. They could play, something that kills the Badger Mole Cub. They could do, gosh, a whole lot of things. Next turn, if I let them hit and Badger Mole lives, I'll have access to 4 mana, which is enough to play the Soul Cauldron, play the Young Wolf, have another land up. I mean, I can still do that? Jeez, I think I'm just going to block. All right. Notably, we are now at a point where I don't want to yield through the turn. This way, like, they can't effectively ever kill the Young Wolf. I could even just get a free damage on something out of this forest if they try to kill it. All things to keep in mind. Flage. Yeah, see here they're going to... Okay, Flage dies. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have the Young Wolf ping itself. Because this way it just denies them the 3 life. And our board state is exactly what it was before. I guess if I just fetch, grab a forest, play this Badger Mole Cub, put this thing on a land here, attack with these 3, we'll eat the Flage, just make all my creatures stuff. We've got access to a halfling with our Cauldron, which could make us create just 1 billion mana. We shouldn't have to worry about something like Wrath of the Skies out of the main in Boros. We will need to be thinking about it potentially in sideboarded games. Another thing to consider is, all right, okay, they decided that was enough. Makes me wonder what was in their hand. Feels weird for Boros to have 4 cards in hand and not have any, like, feel of... hey, I want this thing or that thing. So those 7 cards are the considerations. We could say we've got the extra removal. I'll even put the Crawl Harpooner in here. That is just for the thing you have to keep in mind whenever you play Yawgmoth is, what's it called? Clarion Conqueror? Yeah, Clarion Conqueror is the one I'm thinking of. I was thinking about the Outland Liberator, so I don't want the Outland Liberator. They do like to play Blood Moon, but Blood Moon's not that great against Yawgmoth, so not overly worried about that. I definitely want to bring in these. The Crawl Harpooner is interesting because we don't know if they have it. So I think what I want to do is game one, I'm not going to bring these extra ones. The endurance is because, Flage, but you bring in the Scavenging Ooze, you already have 4 Soul Cauldrons. So, like, I'm less worried about it. So then as we start thinking about what we want to take out, we got to take out 4 cards. Boros is pretty good at being interactive, and I think we'd kind of just become like a control deck. So I'm going to take out the Ballista. I'm going to take out 1 Yawgmoth. We're bringing in 3 non-permanents. So do we want to take out like a Rumble? I think I take out a Rumble, and maybe I take out this Ignoble. Just because it's a 0/1. Doesn't really do a whole lot effectively. Well, here we are. Here's a keepable hand. I mean, I can't say no to this kind of curve. Even though, my opponent's on a mulligan to 5. That always feels bad when you're in that seat. I don't know, some people might, criticize me if I say that, like, I kind of like it from my seat. I like the fact that my opponent is on a mulligan to 5 after losing game 1. But, it's like, I'm trying to win. It's better for me to win. I'm not going to be the type of person, if I'm sitting across the table from my opponent, to, laugh at them or mock them, because, I've been in that position many, many times. All right, let's go with. So we're going to play the Badger Mole Cub. Rumble. Rumble lets us see a few things here. I already have a Soul Cauldron, so maybe I don't want a second one. Because I have a Soul Cauldron, I can leave the Grist in the yard. So then do I want a second Badger Mole Cub, or do I want the Yawgmoth? I think I'm more likely just to want second Badger Mole. Nothing else to do here, so we will pass the turn. Usually if a Boros player has a Johnny and Bombardment, they play Bombardment first, so there's no way for their Johnny to get, sniped out in response or something. So that makes me think they don't have Bombardment. But no guarantee. We will just take 2 from the cat here. It's totally fine. Land number 3. They do know we have this other Badger Mole Cub, so is notable. Okay, so they're just going to flip their Johnny. I wonder if they have a follow-up. They do. They have the Wrath. Okay. We will not pay 2 life. Okay, well, survived 1 Wrath. Let's go get a Forest. They know we have this Badger Mole Cub. We'll put it on the Overgrown Tomb. We'll cast Soul Cauldron. We'll Soul Cauldron the Grist. Put a counter on our Badger Mole. Make some guys. Build a Rumble. Build an Insight. All right. Okay. Seasoned Pyromancer does mean this Ajani can probably kill my Badger Mole Cub, I'm guessing. Yeah. Okay. Badger Mole down. Ajani certainly is a good card. Let's see. I don't have a Ballista is the problem. Well, so we'll play a Beseiju. I have access to 1, 2, 3, 4 mana. 4 mana is very noticeably not 5 mana. Opponent has 2 cards. What I'm thinking is if I... Let's see, I could have access to 5. Is 5 enough? 5 is enough to get a Yawgmoth and the Formidable Speaker to go get a Ballista into play, which sets up a win next turn unless they have some way to deal with the Yawgmoth and or my Spymaster's Vault. So I think that's what I'm going to go for. Okay. We'll go 1, 2, 3. We'll discard this other Beseiju. Discard the Beseiju. Go get a Ballista. Green Sun Zenith. X is 1. X is currently 1. Check. We go get a Yawgmoth. And then we say pass. We will not be doing anything else. So the other way that they can mess with this idea here is they have like a Thraben Charm. Ocelot Pride doesn't do it. Or if in my upkeep they kill my Overgrown Tomb, that would also do it. Because then I don't have a second black mana available. Oh, I forgot to use... I should have 2 more insects. That's a mistake. Definitely could come into play here. Okay, opponent's hitting me. They'll probably attack with a whole bunch of stuff. They got 4 creatures that can attack. They attack with none of them. Okay. Well, let's see if they have something. Do they have the Thraben Charm? There is the Thraben Charm. Okay. Can mill that. Oof, that could be good. Well, let's untap this. Put the Yawgmoth underneath it. Let's make yet another thing. Something. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we are dead to the Ajani. I don't think the Murderous Cut helps us. Okay, second Soul Cauldron, isn't it? Another Young Wolf, isn't it? Let's see, we've had 1, 2, 3, 4 creatures have died. It is important to keep track of that. Let's go. 4 creatures have died. This is 6 creatures have died. Eight creatures dead. Now 10. So if I connive now, I have to discard 11. I miscounted. We did not find a thing we needed. So, what's the plan? What's the plan? What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? Well, let's discard this Yawgmoth. Let's discard a Zenith. I don't want to shock. I don't want to fetch. I'll keep the forest. I only need 1 Zenith to keep. Don't need this. Don't need this. Trying to look and see what else is here in terms of things to get rid of. How many more do I have to do? Jeez. I have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So unfortunately, I can't actually kill the Ajani. So that means if they have a creature in hand, I'm just dead. Well, not necessarily, because then they have to have a red creature. Okay. All right. That doesn't kill me. I will block. I cast Formidable Speaker. I discard Yawgmoth. I find Walking Ballista. I cast Walking Ballista for X is 0. I put Walking Ballista. Okay. There we go. Whew. All right. Feels good to get a win on the board. Feels good to get a win. All right, here's match 2. Womp. We are on the play. We would like to play first. So I think this is a keepable hand. It's not like the best, just because our second land won't be able to. We won't be able to, unless we draw an untapped land. Won't be able to use the 2 extra mana from the Badgermole Cub the turn we play it. But I think this is still a keepable hand. Nice having the Formidable Speaker and a Ballista together. So one thing one of my friends told me at F&M this week, which F&M happened between match 1 and match 2 of this video. I do not always play all these matches in one go. That he felt like I need to slow down a bit. Okay, this is Mill. All right. Well, I guess we... I'm just going to put it on top because it's just going to get milled anyway. But so my friend told me that like he feels like I need to like slow down sometimes, because I think one thing I've noticed is that I think I get played into like a sunk cost fallacy, which is like, oh, I've started down this line of thinking, so now they surgical my Yogs, okay. So I get down a line of thinking and then don't like break myself from it. I can think of one or two particular examples um, from the videos I've put up, and so just thinking about that and making sure that like I'm reevaluating or thinking through things before acting necessarily. Well, when they've got all of it, it doesn't feel fantastic. So I have access to 3 mana, but what do I want to do with it? So I don't. And I have to remember I don't have Yawgmoths anymore. So I mean, I could Formidable Speaker for a young wolf, and then I'm set up for the Cauldron plus Ballista. I can Green Sun Zenith for something, but that doesn't seem overly useful to me. Another thought I have is just play the Ballista, then play the Soul Cauldron, put a second counter on the Mortuary attack, and then like I might be able to like deal combat damage and then kill the crab. I can. So I don't think something like Grist is very valuable here. My Yawgmoths are gone. So Young Wolf is my avenue to win. And to do that, at the moment, I need to find a Spy Master's Vault. So what's the route? What's the route we take? Well, I think it's going to start with getting this Ballista underneath the Cauldron, so I'm going to go for that this turn. Especially since my opponent's tapped out, so they have to have like a Force of Negation, and I can make the Cauldron uncounterable, so I play around Force of Negation. Do we... Yeah, let's attack. My opponent's at 15. So one thing to worry about now is now that I have... I'm putting it on the Halfling just to distribute my counters so that I can kill something and not just have to like go all in and losing one creature. One of the things to worry about with Mill now is they have a new sneak card that mills half your library. So, whoops. So now you're going to see your mill opponent attacking with crabs when it makes sense. So like here, I think whether or not my opponent has the card, they should probably attack with the crab. One thing also on the like play a little bit slower idea that I need to do, and that I've caught myself in a bad position a couple of times, is going full yield through the turn when really I shouldn't be. Okay. Actually, do I just win here? So now we add a mana, shoot itself, always yield, add a mana. It's going to take a minute. So what we need to do is we need to get to the point where I have 13 times 4 mana to then be able to have enough counters on this creature here to kill our opponent. So 13 times 4 is what, 52? So we'll do a little bit of clicking here. Notably, this was not possible until our opponent killed our halfling. We do have to click for a while. Sorry, I know this is not the most interesting of gameplay. This is one of those situations where in paper, you just shortcut it and you say, I'm just going to do this loop X number of times. So it's got to be our opponent's life total times 4 in mana because it costs 4 mana to add an extra counter onto a creature that has Walking Ballista's abilities. Technically, I don't need to go quite as high. I can go 8 less because I already have a counter on the Mortuary, and the Stranglergeist comes back with a counter. But so this is the kind of reason why I like to play, and I'm not going to say that I'm the originator of this idea in any means, because I certainly am not. So I said 52, so really I think I can go to 44 and be fine. But this is the reason why you will see a lot of Yawgmoth lists playing a Stranglergeist, which was not the case for quite a while, actually. But so because Stranglergeist has haste, it can use the tap for mana ability, even though it is a new permanent, which is the entire point of why. Wait. There we go. Okay, let's tap 1 mana here, and we'll go 4 mana. Okay, that's going to take a while. This part's slower than any other part. Sorry, you'll hear my incessant clicking. Very common on MTGO for people to make you actually go through the loops. which is fine. It is part of the clock system to think about the amount of time that would take. All right, there we go. Okay. Okay. There is a little bit of a honorable mention for endurance, actually. Because, or not endurance, Vexing Bauble, because they play Archive Trap. So, I don't know if there's much other stuff we want to consider other than these. I don't think the Damping Spheres matter. So I think the Grist is, well, bad. We want all of these other things. I think, like, stuff like Rumble is a little bit worse. But we don't want to go down on much, to be honest. I could see going down on like some speakers and zeniths just because you're less likely to have some of your creatures in place. Like maybe we cut a formidable speaker. And like maybe just some of the rumbles then, just so we aren't milling ourselves as much. I feel like Vexing Bauble is maybe a little cute to try, so I think we'll go with this. Well, this hand will not cut it. Don't have any way to make any of those plays. This hand is better. We can just put back the second Yawgmoth. We've got Dryad Arbor turn 1 into things like Soul Cauldron and Rumble. All right, we can yield through this turn. It did take us almost 5 minutes to go through that combo. Surveils at Visions of Beyond. I do want black mana, so I'm going to search this turn anyway, so I'm not like, by using the Beseiju, I'm not going to be able to avoid the Archive Trap. Although one thing I could have considered was that there was the possibility, if my opponent did have Archive Trap, which they apparently don't. Okay, I have nothing I can do this turn, so I can yield through the turn. My opponent could have, if they had Archive Trap once again, they could have, there's a Yawgmoth. Do they have the Surgical again? No, but they do have a Soul Guide Lantern they're going to use to hit that. They just hit my swamp? Why? So if they'd had Archive Trap, they could have Archive Trapped me in response to the Green Sun Zenith. Oh, they're getting rid of my Cauldron? Oh, you suck. Well, All right. I feel like you don't need to get rid of the cauldron because you've got the Soul Guide Lantern. So if I ever play a cauldron, and I try to target something, you just get rid of my yard in response. So I would have actually done something like maybe like Surgical the Young Wolves or the Yawgmoth, because those are going to be much more um, hindering to me when you already have an answer to the I do want the Dredger's Insight here since I have the Green Sun Zenith. I can get a Young Wolf or Strangleroot Geist. I guess actually I should have, without the Cauldron, I don't have as good of a way to go through that. But yeah, but like I should have taken the Endurance is what I should have taken. See, I went too fast. I was back. I needed to go through the motions again to be like, hey, the thing you don't have is cauldrons anymore, so you can't win with that Ballista Young Wolf sort of looping. Okay, well, we drew the Young Wolf. So, do I just go get like a, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go search for a Delighted Halfling so that I can play this Yawgmoth. And that's all I'm gonna do. I need to keep this spawn around to play some cards. So, all right. Well, they had umpteen fatal pushes. Okay. I mean, I guess the more fatal pushes they have, the less cards to try to beat me they have. And then they have the archive trap. So both of our endurances are gone. So we have to win with what is left. That doesn't make it any bigger. So, also all three Spy Masters vaults are gone. So I just have to win with just, like, beatdowns, I guess, at this point. Don't I? So do I play, like, Young Wolf Halfling? Do I play the Insight to see if I can find something? I think I'm just going to play Halfling and Young Wolf. Yeah, not checking that endurance was pretty big. The biggest thing in this game so far, though, has been that they were able to surgical my cauldrons. So one plan I can kind of have is to like start to proliferate, maybe. Okay. And my opponent's now at 50 life, which without the cauldron, I don't know if I can beat. But let's see. I go down to 5 cards. Opponent is pulling some good cards off the top. I don't think I can do it, but we'll just play it out. All they need is one more mill card. If that means I want to bring in Thought Seizes and not these Insights and Rumbles. So I'd have to be able to win this turn. This is my last card. And it's a Yawgmoth. All right. Well, so let's try the Thought Seizes. So I think then we can take out, we're going to take out these self-mill cards, which means I actually have one more card to bring in. So let's just bring in the Vexing Bauble and see. You know, essentially, so yes, our opponent's milling ourselves with the self-mill cards. We don't need that aspect of it, but like the Rumble and the Insight also draw us a card, so we've just got to be a little bit better at having what we need in hand. You know, opponent having early mill, hitting the right target, and having the surgical is, you know, just not a great outcome for us. So we'll see what goes from there. I like having the endurance. We can go, well, we'll keep for sure. I might just want to go Mortuary turn 1. Because then I can go Badger Mole turn 2 and then have a bunch of mana open for the next turn. I like having that on top, actually. Well, so that means we're going to get crabbed. So the question now is, I think I want to try to get the Badger Mole Cub down. And yes, we could potentially get Archive trapped, but we do have the endurance for that, which is nice. Since I have the endurance, I am not going to yield. Because if they like mill my other endurance, for instance, or they mill something like a Soul Cauldron and, ooh, Double Crab is not awesome. So now this way, since I have the endurance, we have the ability to fight over a, you know, something like a surgical. So let's see. So I kind of want to Thought Seize. I couldn't. So I have access to 1, 2, 3 mana. But if I use this black mana to Thought Seize, I can use the green mana and the other mana here to play the Prosperous Innkeeper, which gives me a treasure. So I'm going to start with Thought Seize. I need to see what's going on in my opponent's hand. That'll let me plan out my turn better. So I see an Echoing Truth and a Crypt Incursion. So I can actually beat out the Crypt Incursion with my endurance. So let's take the Echoing Truth. Then let's play... What is this land? Miracoro, Center of the Sea. Oh, okay. So I'm thinking like my options are Prosperous Innkeeper and then just a... So these are the 0/3s. Or I can play Young Wolf and then Fatal Push. I think I'm going to do that. So Crypt Incursion is 3 mana. Two Soul Cauldrons, 2 Ballistas, 2 Halflings, another Young Wolf, Badgermole Cub, 3 Halflings down. Okay. Alright, they get rid of another land. It's a 0-3, so I don't have any reason to attack. Yeah, I think the Young Wolf is more valuable having in play than the Prosperous Innkeeper in this matchup because I don't need the life gain. Okay. So we don't know what our opponent drew for this turn. Because their pain costs. They draw the Jace, maybe. And they're figuring out how to pay the like Phyrexian. No, they're just fatal pushing. Okay. Unfortunate, but so I can't cast the Prosperous Innkeeper. So are they thinking about using the Crypt Incursion during our draw? Extirpate. Well, they can't cast Crypt Incursion. Oh, it has split second? Are you kidding me? I can't get around that? Oh my gosh, this sucks. So now they know about my endurance. Well, I am just going to take the opportunity, though. So the other thing you want to do here is you want to make sure that you stack these abilities correctly. So you want the Evoke to resolve first. So you have to stack the other one first. So now what's going to happen is my creature is going to die, and then they all get put back into my library. They do block this time, yep. I decided to take the opportunity there because my opponent is out of cards. Okay. Like, I don't love that land for them. Like, he just gave me a card. Okay. We'll just do that. I have double black mana, so now I can get my forest. I mean, I guess if their last card is, if the two cards they drew are Field of Ruin and Archive Trap, it is what it is. My plan is to just play my Yawgmoth, or play my Yawgmoth this turn. This comes back in. I've already drawn. I'm going to shuffle anyway, so I'll just leave it on top. Yes, I have a mana loss warning. I've already searched, so searching is free. Both endurance is gone in that. Jeez. We'll yield this. Yield this. And then I'm just gonna get rid of that. I have the Strangler Rootgeist, so. Okay. I'm going to start on Badger Mole Cub. We'll put it on the Underground Mortuary. I'm going to play Strangle Rootgeist. We are going to go to combat. And we're going to get in for 5. Okay, we have 10 cards left. Alright, I'm fine if they draw stuff like Soul Guide Lantern. Keep those coming. Yep. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, more Soul Guide Lanterns I'm fine with. I gotta see if I can do the math here. Can I deal 12 damage next turn? And I've got the ability to do some combination of like proliferate stuff. But they're holding up this, so I can't do that. Let's see. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ballista can make 8, 9, 10. So let's see. Unfortunately, the Soul Guide Lantern is tough on my String of Grace because I want to be able to add a power to it, which would actually be 2 power added. So I could make a ballista for 1. And then I could proliferate once. Underground Mortuary would be 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, 10. Is there any way that I can get them to use this Soul Guide Lantern, or do I just have to fade a draw? Well, I think it starts with, well, hold on. If I go 1, 2, 3, Ballista's 3, I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that's actually less. So let's play the Ballista. We'll go to combat. We're attacking with everybody. We will proliferate. Okay. So them holding the Soul Guide Lantern was the difference. Oh my gosh. So let's see. Hold on. I need to be able to put a stop there in my own upkeep. And I think I can still win with this Ballista. They can Surgical Endurance. I need to really make sure I don't touch the wrong button here. I have to stop. So the upkeep stop is set, right? Oh, they can do that? Are you kidding? What a play. What a play. Man. As I had the win in the upkeep with the Ballista, I could proliferate for these 2 mana and then use 4 mana to add another counter and have 4. Oh, that was a really good play from our opponent. Really good play. I'm upset that I didn't get to do my cool play. But that was good thinking. Man, that was close. I wonder if I had boarded in the Thought Seizes in game 2, if I would have been better off. So that's something to think of moving forward, is Thought Seize and not have things like rumbles and whatever. I might have also been better off in game 2. But, you know, the fact that each game they took out one of my key pieces, especially the 2 sideboarded games, being able to take out the cauldrons is huge. But, like, this was then my path to victory. The, like, making each player draw a card there is, oh, that's brutal. That's brutal. All right. Well, at least it felt decently played. I'm not a fan of Mill. I think it's kind of like I want to win through the cool way, but you know, people play it, and this person played well, so congrats. All right. Oh, sideboard's still up there. Looks like we're on the draw this time. Opponent is keeping 7. This hand is a little bit slow. It does nothing turn 1, plays a Badger Mole turn 2, into a Soul Cauldron or String Guys turn 3. I don't know if that's very good. Doing nothing for a couple of turns. Well, not much different, but I will keep this hand. I guess we could put back like one of the Rumble or Insight, maybe? Could also put back Grist. Grist is the most like variable card here. It might be good, it might not be, but also since I can't play it turn 2. Okay, so probably Affinity, maybe? Oh, I still have this upkeep stop set. There we go. Should be back to things in order. I have no turn 1 play, so I'll just play my fetch land and pass. Certainly looks like Affinity. Yep. Ooh, Corey Steelcutter. Interesting. So a more aggressive version. I think that's a great spot for Grist is in the yard. So I could Rumble. I can play Badger Mole. So I have a third land. I have double black. Could use Endurance to make it so that Emery doesn't have much it can do. I have a Yawgmoth in hand already, so I don't need that. The Spymaster's Vault could be something, I have to find a Soul Cauldron and a something else. I think I'm going to take this Endurance. Mox Amber is the choice. I'm just going to let it happen. Second Urza Saga, okay. Be bringing in some of my sideboard cards. Okay. So the Besage is actually decent. So if I play this land, play the Badger Mole Cub, I can't quite get Yawgmoth into play yet. So let's play the Badger Mole. Bolting. Yep. So the question is, do I want to do anything like Besage a Urza Saga? Or do I want to play like this Dredger's Insight, maybe? I think I need to try to set up for a bigger turn. Yes, I do. I would like my Agatha's Soul Cauldron, please. We'll always yield to that. And that's what we can do this turn. These sagas are rough, but it's the one upside of playing a combo deck is that you don't have to necessarily work your way through just all of the value stuff on the opposing side. You know, even though I might be getting hit for 4, 5, 6. They're naming Yawgmoth or Soul Cauldron. Probably Soul Cauldron because they know about the Soul Cauldron. Yep. It's okay. I could use it to. I could discard it to the Formidable Speaker, or I can just Besage the Needle. I do have Besage in my hand. I was thinking that maybe they were gonna go get like a Lava Spur boots or something, and then they could have hit me for a pretty good number, so I'm taking less damage this way. Kind of at this spot where just a land is good. So I have access to 3 mana right now. Huh. So I need to be able to block these construct tokens, I think. What's my avenue to winning? Is my avenue to winning... I'm not sure. I'm not sure how I win this game. Can Formidable Speaker go get Dryad Arbor, play the Dryad Arbor, block one of the constructs with the Formidable Speaker to live next turn, and discard the Yawgmoth the next turn, Besage the Pithy Needle, play the Soul Cauldron, then do what? Okay, skateboard. Oof. Tap target permanent. Okay. Yeah, he's just gonna do it. I can't stop 3 8-power attackers with 1. Vexing Bauble has some utility. So do these Damping Spheres. Mostly because they can't play multiple things. Fatal Push has a little bit of utility. I think I could take out the Grist. I can probably cut a Yawgmoth. I don't know how useful the Endurance is. Two more cuts. I'll try this. Not sure. Cannot keep that one. There's a lot of good pieces, but can't keep it. Tamio. Okay. This is one of those situations where I can yield through the turn because I literally have nothing I can do. If our opponent has a slow hand, that's fine with me. Like maybe I rumble, find a land, play the halfling, and then next turn, actually I can rumble and play the Soul Cauldron. So let's rumble. I will grab this Wooded Foothills. Okay. I'm fine that they did that to the halfling rather than the Soul Cauldron, so I'm glad I played the halfling first. Maybe I should have put it on the bird, but since I now have walking ballistas as creatures, don't take my ability to take actions down. I'll just not be yielded. This certainly feels like a Flame of Anor is coming. Could have blocked, but if they have a flame, it doesn't matter. If I had blocked and they have a Flame of Anor, they just do it before damage. Unfortunately, only 3 mana available. I'll just take this hit for 2. That's fine. If I find a land, I can play Yawgmoth and I can do some good stuff. That is not a land. So I could go get a Badger Mole, which would allow me to play Yawgmoth next turn if they don't have the ability to kill the Badger Mole cub. I could go get something like a Delighted Halfling. If they have removal, like, it doesn't matter which one I get, so I'm going to get the highest upside card here. My opponent drawing lands feels good to me. Yep. Quantum Riddler. So they're definitely going to draw some cards. Flip a Tamiyo. Doesn't necessarily feel at the moment like I'm going to be winning this game through attacks, so the Flip Tamiyo is okay this turn. These double steel cutters are really killing me. That Flame of Anor really got me. Oh, jeez. Well, now I'm looking to take a really big hit. Well, I'm definitely going to block there. I think it's the only good block that I have. Taking 2 damage off of the difference between me being at 7 or being at 9 isn't that huge. So yeah, so I'll make that my block. I do need to remove this damage. I think I just need to put it on my opponent, not on the Tamiyo. Okay. Okay. Well, let's play our Yawgmoth. This is where we will start. Um, Formidable Seeker, not really what we were looking for. We'll say no. We have access to 2 total mana. So, what am I doing here? What is the plan, as they say? Do I need to keep everything back? Let's see. Strict Serenade or Flame of Anor. Flame of Anor can kill my Yawgmoth. I don't know if I have a winning line here, but I'm trying my best. Alright. Well, I mean, all our opponent really has to do is be able to cast 2 spells in its game. But we know they have access to a Quantum Riddler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That didn't do it. Yep, that was it. Not, I don't know if there was any way I could have played that differently, or it's one I'd have to go back and look at and see, like, if there were different lines I could take or something. If this was the game that I put the Fatal Push back from the hand and kept something else, maybe it was keep the Fatal Push so I can kill the Tamiyo, but it was really Emery's the card that kills you out of these decks. It just makes it so that they just nothing's ever dead. So, all right, well, we'll see if we can get back on track. All right, being on the play. Wolf, Rumble, Speaker, 2 Spymaster's Vaults. I have kind of like 2 pieces of a win just right here, so this can go find the Ballista. So really, all the Rumble has to do is be able to find Soul Cauldron. Boros, you say? So I could play a second Yawgmoth and an Underground Mortuary. I could Rumble, and then I also have the Spawn token to potentially block with to negate the life gain here. I'm going to go the slightly slower line. I want a second Rumble. If I go third land, I can do 2 Rumbles next turn. That's fine. This is fine to me. Like all of this to... Oh, they only have 1 land? Ouch. I need to play the land now because I have to have 2 green sources. Okay. I'm actually not going to do anything at the moment. I'd like to be able to keep both of these wolves if I can. So like next turn, I could cast this Rumble and then use the Spawn to remove a counter from one of the wolves, sort of thing. Maybe I should have put the Yawgmoth underneath immediately because now I can't get Thraben Charmed. But even if they do Thraben Charm here, it's okay. Because then I'll play the Formidable Speaker, discard the second Spymaster's Vault, and get a Ballista. And then I have a win the turn after. Yep, that's fine. Having a land to play, does that allow me to do anything different? I could rumble into Speaker. So if I find a Ballista and a something like a Prosperous Innkeeper or Dredger's Insight, I can win this turn? No, not quite. Whoa. Oh. Those are some choices. Holy cow. Well, I can actually win. All right, let's start counting. It's 1. All right, cool. Thank you, opponent. Not making me click through the whole thing. All right. I want my fatal pushes. I want my murders cut. Want my Scavenging Ooze. I'm good with an Endurance. Things that I do not want. I feel like you kind of end up playing a little bit more of just kind of like a control deck here. This is a matchup where I actually think the Grist is okay. Kind of sad that Grist isn't better. You know, it's a Planeswalker that this deck has the ability to play on turn 2 and like kill an opponent's creature, but like so many decks now are just based around multiple creatures. Like using Grist to kill a Ocelot Pride isn't that great because often it's like Ocelot Pride and Guide of Souls, and you're like, well, okay, there's two things I have to deal with, and the Grist just dies. Turns out that really the best place to have Grist is in your graveyard just so you can Cauldron it. Halfling, 2 Yawgmoths, a Soul Cauldron, and a push. That's probably fine. I'll probably end up pushing. There we go. Sometimes clicking that yield through the turn button doesn't do a whole lot. It's like, for some reason, like, why is it so sensitive to the click? Or like, why doesn't it want to do it? Guide of Souls. I'm just going to plan to push something here. So I can wait and see what it's going to be. Like if they play a Johnny here, I'll push the Guide of Souls in response. Well, we'll just do it now. It's fine. I do want to get the Overgrown Tomb. And then I can yield through the turn. Would be nice to be able to maybe Besage this Bombardment, but I need to... I'm tempted just to play 2 Halflings. But if I play 2 Halflings and they go removal, where does that leave me? Versus, like, do I just Rumble this turn? I'll take the Insight. The life gain's really nice. And it could also find me another land, so I can, like, actually keep digging for stuff. Okay, Yawgmoth. So, like, do I want to use the Spawn? Because then I could follow up with, like, a Halfling or a Yawgmoth. So, yeah, I'm just going to use the Spawn now. Okay. Spymaster's Vault. Delighted Halfling, Formidable Speaker, Soul Cauldron. I think I have to take the land. Ugh. Man. I'm just going to play this Yawgmoth, and then I'm going to pass. I'm trying to not expose my Soul Cauldron until like I have a turn where I can use it, just in case, you know, they have like wear tear or something. Just because it is so important for, like, that card is so huge, as like we saw in like the mill matchup, the 2 games when they were able to extract it. It was a lot harder to win. You know, in some ways, it's kind of funny that this deck is called Yawgmoth, because the central card is actually, I think, a little bit more Agatha's Soul Cauldron. Yawgmoth enables a whole ton of stuff, and it's called Yawgmoth because originally we didn't have Soul Cauldron, but like more of your wins are actually through the Soul Cauldron, not through Yawgmoth itself. Yawgmoth is your value piece that lets you find everything and kind of control the game and do a lot of the shenanigans that you're able to pull off, but most of the wins do actually come through the Soul Cauldron right now. Okay, they do have a Johnny Bombardment. Yep. Do the thing. Okay, so they're going to be taking out the Yawgmoth here overall. Not really anything I can do about that. It's important to note now with 1 Yawgmoth in my graveyard that I only have 1 Yawgmoth left in the deck. I do still have the Strangler Rootgeist. I wonder if that Formidable Speaker is a good take, because it would allow me to discard one of these Yawgmoths. Gosh, what do we do? I'm going to run out a Halfling. Is there anything to do, any reason to play the Soul Cauldron this turn? So this Halfling's going to die. Like, just zeroing a Johnny makes it so they can deal 3 damage to it. Then they have 3 creatures. That's 3 more damage. Plus, they're going to attack in. Do I play 2 Halflings? And then maybe I have one of those 2 creatures left to start, like, doing something with Yawgmoth the next turn. Let's try that. Oh, we're not untapping with any of my Halflings. That's for sure. At this point, I can yield through the turns. A Johnny Bombardment is a very tough combination of cards to fight through, for sure. So now I'm going to take a hit for 5, go down to 10. So if I play Yawgmoth this turn, they Johnny kill it. Then I take a hit for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I'm at 1, and then it doesn't matter what I do with Yawgmoth. I think this game's just over. I just haven't had the ability to interact with the stuff my opponent has. What I needed was... Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna... That's game. That is game. Opponent had a whole lot of good stuff against us. Wonder if I want something like the Outland Liberator, just to be able to have a way to fight against the bombardment. But sure, I'll bring in the Liberator. Cut one Yawgmoth. Land, wolf, wolf, push. I think I'm going to mulligan this. I want a better hand. This is a better hand. Kind of want to keep all 3 lands. I want to keep the halfling for sure. So is it the second cauldron or the first endurance that goes away? I think maybe it's the second cauldron just because I don't have anything to fuel the cauldron. Opponent also on a mulligan. Just lead on the forest. Okay. Well, no. Pride follow-up. That's good. So now I have a question. I don't think I go with the Dryad Arbor here. I'm okay with that one. I'm planning to go get a Badger Mole Cub. This is going to make our Soul Cauldron better because now I have a creature with a counter. They kept a card on top. I mean, hopefully it just means like, oh, I need 3rd land. But we'll see. Like, if their play is land Flage, kill my Badger Mole, that's not terrible because then I'll just play the Endurance and get rid of the Flage. And then I can Surveil again, and then I've got Cauldron to eventually find something, I guess. All right. Okay, so they just have kill spells. That is okay. My land comes back. Yep. I think the better time to do that is in my draw step, because then I don't get to use this surveil to set up my draw for the turn. So do I want a Strangleroot Geist? What does a Strangleroot Geist get me? A Strangleroot Geist means I am a walking ballista away from winning the game. And that's okay with me. But I'm just going to hold the Strangleroot Geist. Because then also allows me to have this Endurance active. And now, like, let's say my draw next turn is a walking ballista, or I can surveil one. The Strangleroot Geist just represents a win right on the spot. And I don't have to expose it. My opponent doesn't know about it. Maybe they don't play around it. That sort of thing. That is a perfectly fine draw, in my opinion. In some matchups, a card like Seasoned Pyromancer is like, oh shoot, I just have to deal with so much more stuff now. In this matchup, like, I'm not as worried about a card like that. A good surveil can go a long way here. Opponent discarded 2 lands and then didn't play one, so they elected to not make a land drop this turn. Because it is their turn 4, and they only have 3 lands in play. So I don't need a Yawgmoth. That's a good card. Okay, so I think I just attack. And then I'll play my Yawgmoth. And I'll pass. Because even if they kill the Yawgmoth, I have the Soul Cauldron. Huh, I like how the card preview window still shows that it has a counter. I'd never noticed that. So it's not just like, oh, this is the card. It's like, this is the literal permanent you just saw. I'll start with Stringer Rootgeist. Okay, that's a formidable speaker. Its 2 creatures have died this turn. I could Rumble, which gives me a creature. Maybe lets me find a land to play the Halfling, which is another creature. Maybe it finds something good for the Soul Cauldron. Do find a land. So that would put me down to 9. Let's take the land. Then we're going to go this, target this, sacrifice this. Okay, that's a better land. Let me go this, target this, sacrifice this. Grab the Dryad Arbor. I'll go this, target this. Oh, wait, no, hold on. This, target this. Ooh, yeah. Sacrifice this. I was thinking I could do like something with proliferate, but I cannot. I do need to watch my life total here. But all right. Ballista Under calls around undying creatures is a nutty thing. Okay. Two bombardments. Wow. All right, opponent sees that they're dead. So, like, if you're not familiar a bunch with Yawgmoth, what I was going to be able to do, is go to my turn, and I could like put another counter on one of these 2 creatures with the Soul Cauldron. Then I can use Yawgmoth's ability to proliferate to add more counters. So I'm at 2 counters already. The Cauldron makes a 3rd. Proliferate makes a 4th and a 5th. So just with one activation of proliferate, discarding any of the full hand of cards I'll have equals 5 damage with the Ballista ability without even having to attack, so the fact that they have blockers doesn't matter. So there you go. Was the first match of this league against Boros as well? You'll have to remember that, like, for you it was, you know, maybe an hour ago. For me it was 3 or 4 days ago. So if it was Boros, which I think it was, that means so far the 2 wins are against Boros and the 2 losses are against other decks. So there's that. I mean, I'm not upset being, I guess, so far with these results saying favored against Boros. I don't feel afraid of the Boros matchup as Yawgmoth, like maybe I do with some other decks. So I'll at least say it that way. But and then having game against everybody else because you do have a combo. I don't hate being in that spot. So I like to get back to an even record, have a chance to fight for a positive one in the final match. So coming right up. All right, on the play for the last match. Excuse me on that one. Oh, this is a toughie of a hand because we don't have the ability to play like the halfling turn one, so we don't really get to like accelerate. But I think I'm still gonna keep it. Another green source would be nice here. That's also nice. Blood Crypt. I could just take a hit. I could play the Ballista to stop this. What are my best options? Could play the Badger Mole Cub and then just block with the Badger Mole Cub. I could play the Badger Mole Cub and not block. Seeing Blood Crypt really makes me think that there is some likelihood that whatever creature I play, it just dies. So I'm just going to play this Ballista as a 1/1. Like, the odds of either of these 2 creatures living to untap is quite small. Croxa. They're Croxaing me. I guess then I want to discard the halfling, I think, just because, like I said, I don't think there's much likelihood that it survives. Okay. So here, this is nice because I can do something like play the Badger Mole Cub and then play a follow-up because they don't have interaction up. And this is why the halfling isn't as good if you think it's going to get killed. Because, like, at least with the Badger Mole, I can do something in response to stuff. You know, like the Badger Mole can get me value on the turn I play it. It doesn't have to live. Where, like, a Delighted Halfling does have to be able to untap. Alright. Well, if they target one of my creatures, I can just say, no thank you. And now I have ballistas. So I even have the option here if I want to of removing the counter from the mortuary to get a surveil, but I don't think so. I think right now the extra mana is a little more valuable. So I have access to 4 mana. That could potentially be 5 mana if I play the Prosperous Innkeeper, other than 2 of it has to be the Prosperous Innkeeper. I could also add a counter to this halfling to make it even more. I'm just going to start with the Dredger's Insight, and we'll go from there. Okay. I will say yes to this, even though there's not a whole lot. I'll just grab a Verdant Catacombs. We'll say okay, we'll play that as a land. Do I want to do something like Prosperous Innkeeper, play it, and then I can put the counter on the halfling? So I think actually what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go get the Green Sun. I'm going to use the Green Sun Zenith to go and get a Yawgmoth. I don't want to expose the Prosperous Innkeeper for them to think about the fact that it might be, I might be able to gain infinite life next turn. Oh, shoot. I could have done it this turn. I could have done it this turn. Shoot. Well, that's okay. I still have the insight. Well, I guess I can do it at any point. Never mind. Wow, like, realize all your combos, Alan. Ragavan, fine. Okay, so if they have a Cling to Dust, they can interrupt my infinite life. So what I actually like is another way to find a second Undying creature. That doesn't do it. Just thinking through, like, what do I want to... I'm going to grab my halfling. All right, it's 10. We'll be clicking for a minute. So here represented that I have as much life as I want. I can also now do the Spymaster's Vault stuff to draw and discard a billion cards. But I've got to be able to draw 13 non-lands. So I'm just trying to make sure I draw enough cards. So I'm at 23 cards right now. I think I'll go to like 50 life and then do it. Just go and save targets. And I should have recognized that I could have done this a turn sooner. Okay, so it looks like this is just kind of like Rakdos mid-range. So Scavenging Ooze might be good. Maybe just some Fatal pushes as some potential options here. Do just some light trimming there, that sort of thing. We'll see how that does us. Nothing turn 1 into Badgermole turn 2 on the draw doesn't feel overly good. This makes me much happier. Have interaction for like a turn 1 Ragavan or something. That's a really good draw for this too. Jeez. So very likely my Halfling will not live here, especially with our opponent not playing a threat on turn 1, but that will be what it'll be. Okay, Thoughtseize they say no to. Might mean that they're just looking for lands. Oh, you poor opponent. All right, land number 2. Pyroclasm. All right, touche. We'll just do a little graveyard hate in there. I want to surveil just because I don't have a whole ton of action in my hand. And, you know, if I surveil, don't find anything good, don't have anything else to do, I can just play the Ballista as a 2/2. Dothy Voidwalker. That's okay, I have a Fatal Push. Okay. That's a draw I can get behind. Yep, opponent decided that was enough. All right, so here we are, 3-2 with Yawgmoth. Deck felt good. The loss to Mill felt like it was a winnable game. It feels like a matchup where you definitely just have to kind of navigate very carefully. Should have brought in the Thought Seizes for game 2, not only game 3. You know, there were also some sequences and some circumstances in that game where, like, if the game 3, when they had extirpate for my cauldrons, if that had been surgical, I could have gotten around that line, but because the roles are switched there, it's a thing. Or if, you know, they don't draw the second Soul Guide Lantern, or they don't play it, or I think about them not cracking it in response, and I use that to sacrifice my Strangleroot Geist before the Soul Guide Lantern's in play, then I have the Strangleroot Geist with a counter, and then I have a little bit more mana, or, you know, like they have one less land. So that one definitely came down close. It's not a matchup that I'm gonna do anything else tweaking the deck for. I've got 2 endurance. You kind of just say, all right, there you go, that's it. I'm wondering about these numbers. 3 Damping Sphere. I think I'm fine with it, but I think I might cut one, maybe just try like an Ashiok or something as kind of like another card that kind of like hates out multiple things at once. Could be 2 Damping Sphere, 2 Vexing Bauble, could be a good way to go with things. You know, I'm not 100% sure there, but, you know, overall, I like the list. I really like the main deck. I like 2 Formidable Speaker. They haven't been like, you know, knock it out of the park kind of cards, but just another way to go get the thing you need. I also like that it's just another way to put a key card into the graveyard for the turns when you have Cauldron. So like, oh, I can just now discard this. Well, Walking Bliss is not hard to get into the yard, but like, oh, I can discard this Yawgmoth, and then it turns on my Cauldron, and then I can go, you know, bing, 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 as ways to do that. And just, you know, a tutor for all of these other things. We haven't done it much yet, but you can also then use Speaker to get 2 Cauldron activations in a turn, which is nice. So all good things there. Once again, I like the main deck, maybe just a tweak or 2 in the sideboard, but I have been happier with Thought Seizes this go around than I have with them in the past. So let me update that. So we have the official record there at the end. I know I've been really bad about keeping that record updated, and so I will work on doing a little bit better there. But overall, I'm happy with that league. I'm never gonna scoff at a 3-2. You know, you might watch, you know, professional streamers who like all they do is play Magic and stream it for a living, who are, you know, kind of always looking for the 5-0, and a 3-2 feels like a, you know, just so league. But I think for the mere mortals like me, a 3-2 is a good result. You know, if I could go 3-2 for life, you know, playing this game, that is excellent. So I would not be, I would not say no to if they said, hey, you're just going to average 3-2 forever. Like, all right, sweet. I win 60% of my matches. Love it. So here you go. There's Yawgmoth. Good performer. I I love this deck. This deck is absolutely fantastic. If you are in any way someone who likes decision heavy decks with multiple lines of play, and you know, like the idea of being able to kind of like win out of nowhere, or you can choose to kind of you can be a controlling deck in some matchups and a fast combo deck in other matchups, and you just have a lot of play in what on the surface might seem kind of straightforward. This is a deck you really should try. It takes a little bit of time to learn all the lines, and as you can see, even though I've been playing Yawgmoth for holy crap, over a year now, like it still took me too long to recognize in that first game of that last match that I could combo like that same turn. If I had put the halfling under the cauldron, then I used the Boseiju and the Badger Mole Cub, or actually at that point just the Badger Mole Cub, to use the Green Sun Zenith to go get the Young Wolf, and then I just Young Wolf for a long time because I can use a counter on the Badger Mole Cub to shoot the Young Wolf. The Young Wolf comes back, gain all the life, do the Spy Master. I could have done it all that turn. And so like it is a mentally intense deck, but if that's what you're looking for, if that's what you really like, then, and you haven't ever played this, gosh, you know, borrow a friend's deck if they have it. If you can rent cards online, rent it, play this deck. It is really fun, and it is really rewarding as you get to do it more and more, and as you get to play more and more games with it. So it is just 100% fantastic. Thank you for watching, folks. If you are not subscribed to the channel, subscribe, please. Thank you for watching all the way to the end for those of you that do. And we'll see you in the next one. Next set of videos coming out, actually after that, is another edition of Basement F&M, some paper magic coming your way. So be on the lookout here in the near future for that. See you next time.